just in a GRDC project with FarmLink and Landmark, looking at weed crop competition to combat weeds like ryegrass. So this is a project set up this year with FarmLink. We're looking at 3 crops, so barley, canola and wheat, and varieties that pose good crop competition, so varieties that tiller or can shade out some ryegrass. We're looking at a few different sowing rates with each of these. So in this crop here, we're looking at wheat. We've got 4 different sowing treatments. So 1 is spread on the surface and 3 drilled in at different sowing rates. So we grow a standard sowing rate, a high sowing rate, and at a low sowing rate, and then we've got the 1 spread on the surface. We have these with 2 different systems, so 1 with herbicide and 1 without herbicide. So we can look at the role of herbicide in reducing ryegrass, and we can look at the role of crop competition where we've got ryegrass present. So if we look behind me here, this crop on my right, it's got herbicide. This one has actually been spread on the surface. So we can see there's still a bit of ryegrass there. That's because this crop was spread on the surface. We've got different distribution of the wheat seed, but because it was spread on the surface, we haven't been able to incorporate that herbicide and get the result we have in some of these other plots. This plot directly behind me, we can see the effect of ryegrass without herbicide straight up. So this is to grow a standard rate. We've got no herbicide on this whatsoever. We have some significant ryegrass numbers. So these ryegrass plants, when we look at them, these have come up over the crop and we have significant panicle length there. So these crops have been counted for weed numbers early on at germination. The crop numbers, we've looked at crop tiller numbers, so we can establish how many tillers have been able to choke out ryegrass, if that's working. And then we've counted these panicles. So in this case, we've got a good 25-30 centimetres of panicle length there, which is going to have a significant number of ryegrass seeds go back into that seed bank. So in this case here, where we haven't used herbicide in this system, if we were doing what we normally do, that ryegrass is going to be a significant issue because there's some big numbers and there's some serious numbers of seed. Barley, we've seen a little bit more competitiveness using Planet Barley, so one of those tillering barleys that crawls along the ground. But again, when these panicles have come up, we've got a significant number of panicles, and that's going to set a significant amount of seed. So you want to use crop competition in conjunction with a herbicide. Canola is very similar. The lower sowing rates of canola, so we're talking 1.5 kilos up to 5 kilos sowing rate. We're still seeing significant numbers of ryegrass coming through. So in that scenario, as in the wheat, we still need the herbicides to get the best out of these systems. These are the barley blocks. So at the moment I'm standing in one of the sowing rates direct in the ground with herbicide. As you can see, looking through, we've got grower standard, a low rate, a high rate. We still have some ryegrass plant numbers there. So although the herbicide has done a reasonable job, we've still got some escapes and they are going to still put a reasonable sort of head on. So probably not as long a panicle as what we're seeing in some of these unsprayed blocks, but that is still some seed that is going to go through to harvest and be in the paddock for next year that we've got to deal with. So if we walk through here as we come through, this barley here was spread on the surface, so we were looking if plant distribution can improve that competitiveness. And as you can see, when we put something like barley on the surface with a herbicide, we have had some sort of herbicide effect on the barley plant, and we have still got a lot of population coming through. As we continue through, we get into the area where we've got our ryegrass with no herbicide treatment. So this one again is our grower standard. So this is Planet barley, going around that 50-60 kilograms a hectare, which is fairly standard practice for growers. And again, you can see we've got some pretty reasonable head sizes in the ryegrass, so some fairly significant numbers. As you can see here, crop competition in the barley has probably not been as significant as what the use of herbicide has been in controlling ryegrass. When looking at canola this time round, this plot I'm in front of, this has got herbicide on it, and this has been canola seed that's been spread on the surface at 3 kilograms. So when we started growing canola, that's probably how a lot of our canola was sown. We used to spread it on the surface and give it a bit of a harrow to incorporate it. So that's what's been done here. The herbicide options, we've been restricted ourselves to pre-emergence, so our atrazines, simazines and treflans. So these plots have had no select on, as would be normal practice in a herbicide program. We can see we've got ryegrass numbers coming through here. Better distribution of canola plants. But yeah, you'd still want to have herbicide, and we probably want to select over the top of this to control things better. Having said that, when we move across here into, this is what stuff is sown at the moment. So this is a plot canola conventionally sown, 9-inch spacings, knife point press wheels, 3 kilos to the hectare sowing rate in here, but absolutely no pre-emergent or post-emergent herbicide. So we can see here we have some fairly big ryegrass numbers. It's nearly the same height as this canola, which is going to have some fair numbers of seed going through for next season. So a way to manage this would be doing some windrow burn. So when you windrow your canola, that's going to put your ryegrass into windrows. Take the spreaders off the header and we'll be able to windrow those furrows and try to get some seed control over this. But in regard to this project, where we've had no herbicide, grow a standard sowing rate and even a high sowing rate, canola has not been competitive in a year like this year to eliminate that ryegrass. So herbicide usage pre-emergent in this case is going to be a better option than trying to out-compete ryegrass.